Greetings and welcome back, Dapplings, to the vehicle designer. Once again, Karura over there acting as our taxi. Now, to apologize for the broken bits there. Flying off. Why? Why am I flying off? Game? Are you trying to murder me? Why would you do this? I thought we were bros. Betrayal. Et tu from the depths. But, as I was about to say, do forgive the destruction here. I had to jimmy things around with some prefabs. Now, I'm going to quickly go over some of the changes I've made, many of them based on the suggestions I got from yesterday's video. The chief one you will notice is, and this was a fantastic suggestion, I don't really know why I didn't think of it, because initially, as I mentioned, my ideal is to have the AIs within the turrets. We can't put an AI mainframe inside a turret, which is a big issue, because I would love for each turret to be independently controlled. Instead, I was using wireless transmitters to transmit, but I've only got 4 channels for that, so I needed each structure to have its own guns effectively so that I could have multiple channels. But many people pointed out in the comments, and quite rightly so, why don't I just build an AI controller, AI mainframe, and then its own cards under each turret, or perhaps under 2 or 3 turrets? They would be locally controlled. Got nothing to do with channels. I don't need to worry about that. What a fantastic idea. My goodness, that was a good idea. So I've gone ahead and I've done that. So I've taken away the weapon control inside. I also shifted the turret back. The turret, the main component here, back along the turret anchor point. So it's a little bit more centralized. It looks a little bit less front heavy and silly, wishy-washy. It will decrease its ability to pitch up, which is a bit of a problem, especially for a weapon like this. Now, I have named these, and I'm going to go over what the names I've chosen are. This one specifically, I chose the name, but I chose the name based on suggestions for the names of the missiles. And I'll quickly show you what these missiles are now called. I need to edit this turret, of course. Now, quite interestingly, someone gave me a suggestion just purely for the missiles, and from that, I have named the prefab. But we're going to have a look at the names of the missiles first. We've got the Thunder, which is the the high explosive. I do apologize for calling it heavy explosive all the time. Quite a few people have corrected me in the comments saying, well, actually, the H stands for high, not heavy. I will try to remember that, but it's going to be an old habit to break, unfortunately, there. So we've got the Thunder, which is named because a thunderclap is quite an explosive sound. It's not quite made through an explosion, from what I understand. It's from the superheating of the particles in the air by the lightning bolt, which causes them to expand and rush away very quickly, breaking the sound barrier, and that's what the thunderclap is. But we're going to call the high explosive missile Thunder, and the EMP Lightning, because EMP does kind of have quite a lot to do with lightning. So from that, I decided that we were going to name this sub-object, well, you can see this one as well now, but the Nimbus. Nimbus named, obviously, for very dark, heavy clouds, the sort of clouds that you would typically find would lead to storms. I'm not quite sure if Nimbus clouds are involved in electrical storms. I'm afraid I didn't look that up. But I thought, well, it kind of has the nice theme going. So we've got lightning, thunder, and the overall name of this weapon, the Nimbus. Now, as you've seen, I've gone for the suggestion Tier of Ra for this system. And the reason for that is apparently within Egyptian mythology, honeybees were considered or believed to be the tears of Ra, the Egyptian sun god. I thought that was, how poetic is that? Lots of people suggested hive, lots of people suggested very insect-like hive names for this swarm system, and that made a lot of sense. But the poetry in calling it Tier of Ra just really, really snagged my attention, and I've stuck with that. Again, I've moved the whole thing back with prefabs, which is why there's bits of this turret down there, back on the anchor point just to make things a little bit more stable. And again, we've set up some local AI controlling there for it. Now, this does make for quite an impressive display. I'm going to quickly, well, maybe yes. I mean, it's all AI. Yeah, you know what? It's all AI control, so I could spawn in a Kororo, and we could see how glorious this thing really is. Let's go ahead and put a Kororo in about here, maybe about there. Let's load you in. So Kororo, deep water guard, good. Not spawning in chair, good. Loading Kororo. I'm really sorry about this. I'm not really, but Here we come. Now it's falling at the moment, but look at that. Look at all of this ordnance coming through. And there we go. The Tier of Ra is doing its job. So many tiny little explosions. Many, many little bee stings. And of course, we've also got the Nimbus joining in as well. The Queen's trying to connect. Not quite managing to, unfortunately. Oh, there we go. Some EMP. Though it is actually wasting a lot of these missiles, I noticed. That's not so great. Come on now, Tier of Ra, really? Why is that? Why are the Queens not getting involved anymore? I don't understand that at all. The Queens just don't seem to be interested. They aren't bothered. No, they don't really want to get involved. Not interested at all. It's got a good connection now. No? Is your beam not reaching there for some reason? Am I controlling the beam? Oh. Scallywags. I see what's happening. Okay, that is quite the problem there. Quite the problem indeed. I may need to adjust that. Yes, I think we do need to adjust that right now. Okay, let's go ahead and edit you. Because that is why the Queens are going all awry. We need to edit this turret. No, edit that turret. And we're just going to pull this block out from in here. Very sorry. We just don't want it there anymore. Get rid of that, and there we go. That is now targeting properly. In fact, let's pull that down completely. Oh, that's quite the pain in the bum. Quite the pain in the bum indeed. You know what? I could do it slightly differently and actually just have this come out at one more. It might be a better solution. Let's see. If we come back and get a metal block there, color picker. I really didn't intend to notice any kind of structural flaw in this, but now that I have, I will fix it. But that's a cautionary tale about doing any kind of testing in here. You will notice problems, and then you'll be obliged to fix them, even if you don't want to. Right, we want this to be back red again. There we go. Just want the beam emitter just on the outside there. So laser emitter, lock in position, pitch it forward. There we go. That should now be able to look downwards. And that also means I can place these back on. Color picker, make them the Queens, and should... Oh, actually, going to need to make that red. There we are. Then... There we go. Right, so that will be a little bit better. Load. And assign to all of the same length. I'm not going to test it to find out whether that worked. I really didn't mean to notice any kind of problem before, and I feel a little bit bad that we did, but oh well. I did, and I fixed that now, but I'm not going to do another combat test of this, because that's exactly the reason why I didn't want to start doing things in here, is because I'd noticed little things like that, and then all of a sudden, I'd go to the campaign with a fully combat-tested weapon, and that takes away from the campaign, in my humble opinion. But we're going to save this sub-object over the Tiers of Ra. Or rather, the Tier of Ra. If we have more of them, they'll be the Tiers of Ra. But that's it. Now, to work on the silos. Excuse me, a bit of a frog in my throat. Let me have a sip of tea. There we go. Dapperosity refueled. Now, we need a very large silo. But the thing with the silos is they're actually going to be very easy to make. They're not going to be particularly interesting looking things unless I actually go to the effort of making the silos completely. So actual making the shell of the silo as well. I kind of like that. We could perhaps have let's think. We want the silos to be big enough. So let's start, we'll build it out here. We don't need to build it down because we will eventually work on that. But let's start with a single metal block in the center as our focus point. Now, the bottom of this is where we would have the AI. So this is going to be a whole prefab unit, because it's not going to be a turret. It's not going to be a sub-object like the others. So this is where we would have our AI. So let's build that in. Let's go. And because the AI is actually going to matter, because it's going to be colored in here, we're going to want the local weapon controller. We're going to color it, no color, pop that there. We're then going to want an AI mainframe back there. So an AI mainframe as well. Actually, okay, we're going to have to build this back. Damn it, that's not the right color. Why? There we go. And go back to no color. Variant select. AI mainframe. There we go. So we've got our mainframe. We want it to be left and right card slot. Oh, no, that was left and right card slot. Then we want a aim point selection and a target prioritization. Now that gives us our basic AI setup. Now the thing I'm wanting from this silo, and the reason why we're going to have to build up, is if I go to missiles and torpedoes, go to missile controller, we want this, and yeah, we actually want that to be the right color. I kind of want it to be pointing upwards. So lock it in place and pitch it back. That's where I want it to be. So why don't I make a nice, let's see, metal block. There we are. Eventually I'll remove these lower metal blocks and put things back. But for now, that's where I want the AI weapon, the weapon controller. I also want it to be a different color. Color picker, replace mode. There we go. Right, this one is going to be on number 4. I don't want to be controlling the silos either, really. Now, the reason why I wanted all of that aiming up is so that I can do this. We're going to have, I think, 4 missiles at the bottom. Each silo is going to be a self-contained 4 missile silo. So we want a 6-way connector to link all of this up. So, and I want 4 ejectors because it's going to be an up-facing silo. So each one of these needs to have 4 ejectors around it. Now, you can get this to be quite a tight design without annoying each other. But honestly, well, yeah, I kind of want to try and go for that. So we'd have a design like that. We'd have the missile launch pad aiming up there. I think the way we would do it would be something like this. So we'd, see, that's not symmetrical anymore. That gets quite annoying. That would be the tightest way you could get what I was thinking of doing. I'll quickly show you what I was thinking of doing, just so that you understand I'm not completely mad. We would want, lock that in position, pull it back. 1, 2. Really? Can they fit through blocks? How glitchy. That is extraordinarily glitchy. Not sure I approve of that at all, honestly. Well, you know what, though? Let's see if I can just make this, because as much as I want it to have the symmetry of being an odd number in the middle, so that it is technically a middle, we could just see how we could get this all to go together. So we'd have one there. That would give me the 4. We'd have another one there. And then we'd have, whoops, all over the place. And we'd have another one here. So basically, this is the design I typically go for with certain flower designs and generators in Minecraft. Oh, man. All right, let's get all of that cleared up where we don't need the connection points. Oh, dear. We did apparently need a connection point there. Which one did I destroy? Ah, right, I see, yes. We want that to come back there. Okay, so that gives us our launches. Now, if we go back to these, I can get you there, you there, you there, and you can actually go back down. So there. A little bit easier when we're dealing with that side. There. And finally, there, there, and there. And that should give me 4 launches on each silo. It's not a bad design, all things told, and I guess the thing is, with a non-symmetrical, without an odd number, so for example, a 5x5, 7x7, 9x9, that sort of thing, it's going to make making this silo look circular, which was my plan, very difficult. But, you know, we could try. It might look nice in the end of it, and you should always try new things, in my opinion. You shouldn't ever become mired in tradition. I mean, tradition are good, don't get me wrong, but experimentation is key. Oh, actually, I don't like that because it seems glitchy that it's just slotting up there into the bottom of the ejectors. So as much as this is going to pain me, I'll have to do this slightly differently. So we'll have one there, there. We will actually have... Damn. Let's do this slightly differently. If we do that, remove this, then we should be able to remove both of these without breaking anything. There we go. There we are. So this now neatly... Actually, we'll do this because they're not quite the same shape. Neatly encompasses all of the AI components. I could actually leave a little bit of room so I can get down there and have a look. That makes a little bit of sense, yes. So now I need to come out here, branch around, and basically completely coat the outside wherever there's going to be an ejector, so that I've got a footprint that goes right around the perimeter where I've got actual functional components. So there we go. So that's my footprint. So we've got a 6x6 that we need to be larger than. That said, I guess the ejectors could exist outside of this footprint if I really want them to. I'm not sure I do though, but we could have a look at that. However, with that all set in place, we can actually go back to the missiles themselves. So let's go to the missile blocks. We want this to be colored. Lock that in place, pitch it back, and how big of a missile do we want? Let's design one, and then, sorry, yes. Let's just turn you off for a bit, shall we? Don't just launch my missiles, you scallywag. Right, okay, well this is a huge, really, please don't shoot it straight up and then straight back down. Please don't. That is really stupid. It's not connected to an AM mainframe, so I shouldn't be firing. Make sure I'm not controlling it. There we go. Right. Okay, let's actually set this up. See what we need for the size of the missile. Now, I'm thinking for every short-range thruster, we're going to want one fin, 4 fuel tanks, and another fin. That'll give me the maximum burn time for that short-range thruster. If I want a second one, I'm going to have 8 fuel tanks. But at that point, you're starting to get to the point where the weight of the missile is reducing how efficiently the engines are going to burn for, because it's having to put more thrust in to get up to any kind of speed. I hazard going bigger than this, which is about 1,000, 1,200. I completely forget. I do apologize. I could put another short-range thruster on and have maybe 6 fuel tanks. It's going to burn through its fuel that little bit faster, but the main thing is to work on what we're doing. Now, this is not going to be a laser-designated system. At least I don't think so. Perhaps I could make 2 missiles that are, and then have like a designation tower, which is attached to the silos, which will pinpoint things. And in fact, actually thinking about that, that does sound kind of awesome. But at the same time, having a self-guided missile is awesome as well. So I'm thinking we're going to go... see, this launches up. If I put on other missile, a designator, it would be a little bit better. But I then need to build a designator tower for each silo. And I'd have to connect it as well, which is the problem. Connect it to... No, we're going to go with an infrared seeker for this. I've convinced myself. We'll also have the camera be fairly far back. So camera for infrared seeker, and I want it to aim at a random block. Doesn't matter. Just aim at a block that exists that's random, so it's not predictable. So that at that point, we don't actually need the aim point selection AI, but I guess I'll leave it on there just for now. Now, I want this to be fairly deadly. So we want, let's have a look. Actually, can I tell this to aim for shields? Aim for hot things. Aim for shields, aim for center of mass. I could tell it to aim for shields and then knock them out with an EMP, but I'm not going to do that here. Just aim for a particular random block. We want a... That does mean I need a friend or foe. Let's see. We want explosive warheads, a decent amount of them. So 1, 2, and then probably at least... Let's see, where are you? Fragmentation warheads. I quite like having a burrowing fragmentation. So this one would have very, very small angle of attack. So about, let's say 7. And then this one would be much larger with 25. And if I put a last one in, then this one would the idea would be, from what I understand, when a warhead goes off, it goes off from its current position. So it's not actually ideal because it's not going to be the first warhead, the second warhead, third warhead as the missile is driving forward. They'll all detonate at the same time. But assuming that the first attack, like the first missile out of the volley, has done its job of burrowing a hole through, the second one might actually go through. Though with the infrared seeker, it's just aiming for a random block, probably not. So it's a little bit of a concern there. But I mean, the idea with this kind of warhead system is that the first warheads burrow a hole through the armor, and then that exposes the internals to the second warheads, which just spread the shrapnel out. But we're not going to go with the third one. Instead, we're going to look for something. We could have a proximity fuse, maybe? Yeah, no, not too interested in that. Target prediction guidance, though, would be quite useful. Augmented proportional navigation uses the fins to accelerate the missiles such that the target is at constant bearing. This helps to ensure an impact. The downside is it's only effective when closing on the target. At large angles, it will not converge. I could have all of the guidance systems on this. I'm not really sure that's that useful, though. Instead, we could just add some more explosive warheads, because the first explosive warhead is where all of the explosions are going to come from. In fact, yes, let's move the fragmentation warheads down and then just fill out the rest with explosives. So this is just a really heavy-hitting missile. I could even have an EMP in there just for good measure. You know, just in case I'm remotely close to anything electronic and it'll blow it open. This is such a hodgepodge, Frankenstein's monster of a missile system. Where is the EMP? EMP warhead. I'm not proud of this. I kind of am, actually. Let's go with 20. Okay, so that's a fairly narrow burrowing fragmentation, lots of explosives, and an EMP, just for good measure. Fairly long range, but I'm worried about this a little bit. I might actually, because this is going to be a big, heavy missile. Perhaps I should drop some of this and add an extra short-range thruster and 2 extra field tanks. We won't for now. We'll see how this does. All right, let's drop this in. For now, this is going to be... it's nowhere near an ICBM. But I'll just name that for the time being. Someone can suggest a different type of name, and I'd be happy to replace that. But it's an 8-block missile, so we need 8 blocks for this. Let's rotate this around. It's not actually as big of a silo as I thought it would be, all things told. And then down here for the last bit. So I guess the main bit of the silo is to make it look good, which actually doesn't surprise me too much for one of my builds. We've already got that loaded in. Let's just assign it to all of them. There we are. So that actually does kind of seem pretty awesome to me. Now, on the very corners, we can afford to just come straight up with metal beams. So let's do that. Grab you, metal blocks, and metal beams going straight up. Something like this. I will create the outer shell of it, and then we'll use shaped pieces to give it a bit more of a curve kind of feel. I think that's what we really need to aim for with this. In fact, I'm not happy with only having this tall. I want the beams to be a little bit taller so that the missiles... Well, actually, no. A beam that tall is a little bit overkill, if you ask me. But ultimately, I want the missiles... Oh, is that really... Oh, fantastic. To launch out of the silo, not straight from... Not to be flush with it, if that makes any sense to you. It probably doesn't, because it doesn't make much sense to me. Right, let's see. We've got the metal slopes. We could try and... Oh, no, that's wrong. Use these. No, way too big. Let's go for the 2-meter ones. We also... You know what? I didn't have this turned on the whole time. And, unfortunately, it's not necessarily going to be easy to do because this is not... This is another reason why I like mirror lines. But if I do this... No, okay. If you hit it twice, it's not... The mirror line now exists on the edge of the block. This will be the first time I've actually used that feature. So hopefully it's doing what I expect it to do. There we go. The wrong place. There we are. Actually, you know what? That doesn't look too bad. Yeah, actually, that does not look as bad as I was expecting. This might work after all. Let's grab you and straight up. I really wish you could double tap to move down with that. It would make things much easier. Yeah, this actually does have a bit of a curve to it. I was really expecting it to be hard to get a curve with an even side, but no, I take it back. I quite like this. Quite like it a lot. We'll just bring this straight up like that. Now the problem is how are we going to do the top is the big issue. We want to rotate that there. Go straight down. Same over here. Oh, that sounds like my neighbor's children are out to play. There, and then over here as well. Okay, so we've got a big old black silo. We kind of want to have different colors on this, otherwise it's just going to look ugly as sin. But now we need to decide on how we're going to do the top. And this is a very big decision. We could have something like this. I do kind of like that. Actually have something... We'll try something along these lines. There we are. Okay, I like it. Yes, we'll keep that. Do I have... I don't. Unfortunately, there are no components as there are for the lower part, the smaller bits of metal, unfortunately. But we might still be able to do this. And of course, it's going to menace with spikes. It's a missile silo. How could I not have it menace with spikes? Let's try and get you in here, about there. Is that going to... No, it's going to be fine. So there we are. Close, though. Very almost not fine. And then we can have another menace with spikes at the top. Okay, now it doesn't look grand because it's all black at the moment, but we will be addressing that shortly. Now, down here, I do actually want some sort of protection against things just exploding. Oh dear. Actually, that's not too bad. It hasn't actually gone through and deleted anything, which is what I thought I'd just done. And there, and then over here. And probably down there as well. There we go. So that's now sealed off the lower area of the missile silo. So you're not going to get anything crazy going on. Now we can add in some embellishments, and we all know how much I like those. We want these ones. Let's come up one, move in. We'll have... We're going to start using the color picker now. So we want gold. There we are. And there as well. I think we probably want to go with color replace mode here as well. Actually, no. That looks really good just as a diamond on the side. Oh, yes, I like that a lot. Let's keep up with that. And then maybe the red for the large beams. I'm not sure. That's possibly a little bit too colorful at that point. We'll see. We'll see what we can do. We need some slopes at the bottom. So just regular down slopes there. Bringing it out. And there as well. And over here. I'm not entirely set with this, honestly. Ironically, I think the gold looks better than the red in this instance, which is uncommon. I usually favor the red, but let's add some more menaces with spikes. That really would be my tribe name. If ever I was part of a tribe, menaces with spikes. Which actually wouldn't be far from the truth, considering how I dress. Let's go with this. There we are. We'll go back with black. I just think that looks so much better. So much better. Okay, so we're going with just a black and gold color for the silos. You know what? That isn't actually a bad silo, all things told. I think maybe the 4-meter tall components there are the sticking point that's kind of difficult for me to really get behind. I think we need to do something about that. Perhaps we need to menace with more spikes. Maybe we do, actually. Or maybe we just need this instead in black. So something like this. Yes, actually, that is exactly what we needed. That is absolutely what was necessary. Fantastic. Now we need to go for the color picker. Well, actually, I'm not going to put anything down the side of the silo. We'll adjust that as necessary because I could have several of these silos just kind of nestled next to each other. Though at the same time, the temptation is quite vast to have the sides of my silos menaced with spikes as well. I mean, come on. It'd be glorious. Though, actually, I would like this to be a shorter one. Shorter, stubby spikes down the sides. More like studs. We're going to stud this with metal. Oh, this is grand. I don't care whether you're a dwarf or not. This looks wonderful. Look at it. It looks like it was built to hurt people. Well, it is built to hurt people. It looks exactly like what it should look like. Unfortunately, that's going to be a little bit more of a pain. So let's pop the mirror line right there. Ah, no. How annoying. No matter what I do, it's going to be annoying. Okay. Well, I think we know what I'm going to be doing there. I'm going to just be adding some more spikes onto this. I think maybe we're going over the OTT with the spikes. I know. That sounds like something a heretic would say. But sometimes less is more. I mean, genuinely it is. In art, sometimes you just have to know when to stop. And I think perhaps I'm menacing with too many spikes now. I'm distracting away from the spikes with the number of spikes there are. Yes, I think we're going a little bit too far. So you know what? I think what we'll do is we'll just grab you. We'll remove these spikes like so. You see, method. We'll go with these ones. We'll just have top spikes. See what I'm doing? I'm being sensible about my spike usage. There we go. Top spikes only. That is something that I think is acceptable. Now we just need to put them over here as well. And then the silo is complete. And it will be awaiting a name. I hope you can think of a really good name for it, because this silo deserves a good name, I feel. There we go. And there we are. So, missile silo complete. I do need to go down here. I need to add in the AI back. But problem is, it's going to start trying to shoot things again. I just don't know if I should allow it. Are there any enemies anywhere? There aren't any enemies anyway, so you shouldn't really be trying to shoot things, okay? But as for your range, we're going to give you a range of 2,500. I'm not sure. This could actually reach much further. I'm going to give it a range of 2,500. I've got a sneaking suspicion that's too far, though. But by all means, leave some feedback in the comments. If you know roughly how far a missile of this size can go, please inform me. I welcome all advice with this. There are people who know much more about this game than I do. And many of you have told me before, and then I've just forgotten. And I do apologize. I've got a brain like a sieve. Am I stuck inside the missile? Well, you know, safe. I'm not going to test it, however. By all means, give me advice on what would be a safe amount of range for this kind of weapon system, and we'll test it out in actual combat. Again, I'm put off doing any sort of combat testing because of what I did with that. But I quite like this little missile silo. We're going to be able to have a lot of them. But again, we need some suggestions for names. So before we do anything else, I do need to make a prefab for this. Now, this one is going to just be a prefab, unfortunately. Let's go to prefabs. We'll actually use, you know what, let's go with this. No, wipe that prefab. We need to get this around about the right size. 8 should do, I think. Yes. Oh no, actually we need 10. So length will also be 10. And then height is the big one. Is that right? There we are. So we need to bring it all the way down. 1, 2. I think that is a good enough prefab for the whole thing. Now, let's not lock its position so we're actually pointing the right way. I've done that too many times to count. Now lock its position. Now that we are pointing the right way, I'm fairly certain that is the right way. And there we go. Prefab created. We need to rename this prefab though. So, boom. And then prefab name, silo. For now. There we go. So we've got our missile silo. We need a good name for it. Any feedback on how I've designed it would be appreciated. What it's sort of the kind of ranges that I should be looking at, or any advice on a different balance to the missiles. Perhaps they're too big for the amount of fuel I've got in. I would appreciate all of that feedback. But that's it for now. I'm pretty happy with having built the silo. The very next episode we'll be back to the campaign, probably for a little while, as we're going to be starting work on the Dock City with these coastal weapons. So we've got the Nimbus, we've got the Tear of Ra, and we've got an as yet unnamed Menaces with Spikes missile silo. I'm not going to name it Menacing with Spikes, that's too obvious. But I hope you've enjoyed this episode. I hope you will be joining me for the next. But until then, and as always, do take care.